And I think something that we struggle with as entrepreneurs is balance of our personal life and our professional. And so how would you coach somebody on that? Or what are your thoughts of that?
So I would say this, pay really close attention to how you feel. Like, don't ignore how certain people make you feel. A lot of times we don't have enough emotional intelligence about certain things. If somebody's always making you feel down, every time you talk to this person, you leave with a headache or you leave depressed, that needs to be something that you gradually or just cut off, straight away. And so I started to recognize certain conversations. Like, for instance, I may have a certain conversation in the morning. And if I have a certain conversation with this person in the morning, the rest of my day is shot. So I recognized that. And I was like, okay, if this person is going to continue to be my friend, we can't talk until 3 p.m.
Welcome to the Love Is Podcast with your host, that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and her co-host, the lovable a-hole, that's right, I said lovable, Mr. DK Walker, where they will be discussing love, relationships, family, life, sex, self-help, and what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Why? Because love is everything, and everything should be loved. Now to today's podcast.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl, it's the thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, alongside my co-host, the lovable asshole, DK Walker. DK.
Yes.
Tell the people hello, please.
Hello, people.
How are you?
I'm good. I have no complaints, none whatsoever. Like, life is good. I really have no complaints at all.
You're sounding very hip hop today. Life good?
Yeah.
I thought Aubrey was coming through.
Oh my God, you and that light skin dude, stop it. You know what I mean?
Listen, I done told you, you're not going to be disrespectful about me and Aubrey. Future's in there, though.
It ain't about me being disrespectful. Like, I think Aubrey was disrespected on when T.I. finally admitted in his song that he got peed on. Literally got peed on.
Listen, we not going down that
So you're not going to acknowledge that?
No.
Like, really?
Nope, I don't have to.
That's all right. T.I., confirm Meek Mill BS and let people know that my man got, like, I don't understand how it went down, but it went down. So it is what it is.
Okay. Well, today is not our typical day because we do have a guest on for you Love Is Podcast listeners. We have Mr. Remiah Trask. Mr. Remiah, how are you?
I'm great.
Well, welcome to the podcast. This is typically where DK and I just kind of catch up with each other. I guess the only thing I can talk about is that before DK makes any jokes today, is that I got scalped on Thursday. Y'all know DK likes to make my lineage jokes. My dad's black, my mother's a West Indian, and then he makes to make Indian jokes. So I've brought this to the podcast before. My sister's in beauty school, and so my sister and I have kind of faithfully been guinea pigs. I went and got my haircut about a month ago, and then I went again the other day to get cleaned up. And she's a true beautician. She got real scissor and buzzer happy. So I'm kind of back to my circa 2009 mohawk. I'm shaved on the sides. There's curls everywhere. But as a past, like, it's all worth it. I saw my grandson yesterday, and he was completely fine. I asked him, I said, "You like Gigi's hair?" "Yeah." He still has curls and the hair to play with, so he's satisfied. So it's a good day in the life of the thorny chick. Go ahead, because you giggling way too much, DK.
Nah, man, I'm not going to speak about, you with the retro haircut, with the skin fade. That's not my place. I'm not going to speak on the fact. Right. I'm not going to speak on the fact that you step off the doggone, I think it was the Mayflower and the Indians got you and scalped your ass. I'm not going to speak on that. It's not my place to speak on, I'm not going to speak on none of that. It's your choice. I said you get down in life.
It is. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I said it on Instagram, and I said it on the podcast. I'm going to say it again. I'm not married to my hair. It's just hair. It grows back. it's just hair. It's a fun stage, you know. And I feel like every time I get a haircut, a new I don't want to say a new personality because that sounds very crazy, but I just feel like a different layer of my personality comes out. Like the more I, get the opportunity to kind of participate in self-care, especially with COVID and all those kind of things. Like I just feel better about myself, and that's what every woman wants.
Okay, I hear you talking. It sounds good. It sounds great. I'm not mad at you. Like, all jokes aside, you got to do for you. It's your head, no matter how big it is. Your hair, no matter how long it is. Right?
Yeah. So, listen, I done told you about this Thursday. I don't understand why you and my sister have big head jokes for days. I don't.
Right. It's kind of crazy because like big head people have big head jokes. And me, I have a big head. So everybody else, I just go ahead and lump them in together. This is what I do. Right.
Okay, Gina.
My forehead ain't that big. I'm sorry.
My sister's is though. That's what I told her. I said, you got big head jokes and your forehead is a 5 head. Like, ma'am, back up.
Oh, back Jesus, up. Lord. Don't stay pinky in the brain. Leave us alone. Anyway.
Well, guys, like I said, we have a guest today, Mr. Remiah. I don't know what I'm trying to say right now. Trask. And he is pretty dope, or at least we think so, and we think you guys will too. Definitely on the entrepreneur kick like we are. So he is the CEO of Design Baton Rouge, an award-winning web design and marketing agency in Louisiana. He's also an Amazon bestseller of You Can Build a Freaking Amazing Website If You Have Zero Credibility. Yes, that is the title. I did not add all that in there because y'all know I like to be little extra, but that's not me. He comes from a long line of entrepreneurs. Back in 2010, he launched his web design and marketing agency and is consistently helping others grow their business and expanding their businesses with his services. So you guys, Mr. Remiah Trask.
All right. That was amazing, Karen.
Can you tell I practice? Can you tell that I practice, or I do this quite often?
You're really good at what you do.
Thank you. Hey, DK, can I get a pay raise?
Hey, remind them a favor. Like we operating on a shoestring budget over here. Please,
that's pay raise. That's pay raise.
Do not enhance her worth. Like, don't do that. She all right.
Don't make my head bigger. Don't make my head bigger than what it is.
She bringing value, DK. I'm just saying. She bringing value.
Tell him.
Facts. True. I will concede that point. I will admit that I will not be where I'm at as far as this podcast and the other business that we have if it wasn't for her contribution. I will go on record and say that. But if you ask me that question tomorrow, I will deny.
Tomorrow, we're back to beefing. Like tomorrow, we back on our usual. I can't stand you. You didn't do this. I don't know where this is. Can you find my file? My website is down. Like it's just the exchange of information. Like. I'm like, how did we get here? Like yesterday where everything was fine. How is it like 24 hours later? It's like the world is coming to an end. And then by like Tuesday, we're back to normal.
It's called life.
That's what it's called. It really is. It's hashtag entrepreneur life. That's what that is. It's always something.
To say the least. So, Remind, if you don't mind, before we get into the nuts and bolts of today's podcast, if you'd like, give the particulars of what you do, how you came about doing it, and then how people can find your services. If you don't mind, please, my good man.
Yes, sir. So in a nutshell, what I do is I build freaking amazing websites and I help entrepreneurs reach their goals. Mainly my mission is to help 100 entrepreneurs get to 6 figures. And so everything I do is centered around that. So I coach, I do business coaching. I also teach people how to build websites as well and how to build a 6-figure web design agency. That's a new program that I just rolled out. So that's really the center of what I do is helping entrepreneurs. And really how I got there is I started building websites back in 2000. I took a class in college. I went to LSU. I took a class, built a website for my church. It was horrible, but I loved it. I fell in love with it. I started doing it for a hobby, just doing it for fun. One day, a friend of mine asked me to build a website for his wife's organization, and they offered to pay me $300, like 300 big ones. And I was like, I could make money doing this, something that I'm doing for fun. And then the light bulb went off, and I started putting this business plan together. Like Karen said in my bio, like, all of my grandparents were entrepreneurs, my mom and dad entrepreneurs, so it's in my blood. I know business. I never really quite felt right on a 9 to 5, but so writing a business plan came natural to me. I put it together. I put together a package, and I went out selling door to door. On the first day, I sold 2 deals. I sold 2 websites for $300. Came home with $600. Built those websites, and I've never looked back since then.
Okay. And it's a beautiful thing. I know work never seems like work when it's your passion, right? Like if you do what you love to do, it's never work because I like to do this anyway. So it's just a bonus. It's a byproduct. I get paid for doing this.
Yeah, that's real.
Yeah. I definitely feel you on that. And so how long have you been in the web designing business, sir?
So I've been in the business 10 years, but I kind of did it for 5 years while working another job. I've been full time since 2015. July 2015 is when I chunked up the deuces on my last job, and I haven't had a job since.
So let me hold you right there, right? If you don't mind, please, let me just put a fork in that right there. Yep. Me being an entrepreneur, because I still got a 9 to 5, like, anybody's listening to the podcast know that I run behind a trash truck for a living. And I'm not necessarily where I want to be, where I can kiss that job goodbye and then walk fully into that. So my question to you is, how did you develop the courage to be like, what, I can, sustain this on my own. I don't need my 9 to 5 to be my safety blanket.
So what I had to do was I had to put together a plan. Like literally I had to say, how much money do I need to sustain my lifestyle on a monthly basis? And I knew that number at the time. It was about $5,000. And so I was like, okay, if I can make $5,000 per month consistently from building websites, I can leave this job. So I literally went out and I sold 4 website jobs that were going to get me to that amount before I left, so it was like, okay, if I could do it this month, then I can do it every month going forward. And that's what I did. I put together a plan and I proved it to myself before I left. Otherwise it doesn't make sense. Like quitting your 9 to 5. Yeah, that sounds sexy. That sounds great. But it ain't for everybody. It's not going to be easy out there when you on your own. At first, it's not.
Expound on that, because I think people are like, oh, everybody says that. But I think until you really describe, there's the amount of stress that is on your shoulders, the amount of anxiety that comes, the amount of tears, the amount of just angst that you go through. I think people sometimes especially because they hear me and DK say it all the time on the podcast, I think they kind of are like, that's something they just say. So how do you explain that part of entrepreneurship?
When you work in a job, so you have some stability, you got this check coming on the 1st and the 15th. As long as you perform in the job, you still got to trust them, but you have some source of stability. When you're not working a job, you got to make the checks come in. And the day that you stop marketing yourself, the day that you stop bringing in new business is the day those checks stop coming in. And so it's just it's a different level of pressure associated with that. And we was kind of talking a little bit earlier. This might be a good step into it. Like when I left my job, I actually lost my family at the same time, because I've been married now for 18 years. And during that time where I decided that I was going to leave my job and go full time with the business, that was kind of like the final straw that broke the back of confidence that my wife had that I can be a provider. It was like she was seeing this instability. You work this job, you work at the bank for 3 years, and then you go actually get a job as a web designer at a web design agency. You work there for 2 years, and then you stop doing that and you start doing music full time. So I was all over the place as an entrepreneur, but my wife wasn't seeing the stability. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I really got to prove to you that I can make this business work. And I took a big risk, because she literally left. And we were separated for 6 months. And during that time, I was like, okay, this is it. I got to make it work, or I lost my family. I got 3 kids. And that's what I did. I grinded and I made it work. I grew the business to a 6-figure business. And now she has the confidence and knows that, okay, my husband is going to provide for this family. You know, I pay all the bills except for like the healthcare insurance, because she still works. She takes care of that. But it looks great now, but man, what I had to go through to get here was hell.
So right. We don't look like what we've been through.
Facts on facts. And that was a great segue into actually with the topic of, well, one of the topics of the podcast. Like, you know, we're you know, wanting our listeners to know that people throwing around the terminology of being an entrepreneur, and it looks great while you on IG, looks great while you YouTube, looks great on social media as a whole. But if you don't go through something, right, you know, you just can't give yourself a title if you're not actually, you know, working towards that title. That's the first thing that, you know, I want to have the listeners understand. Like, you can call yourself anything that you want, right? Like, I affectionately label myself the lovable asshole, right? And so, like, it doesn't take a lot for me to live up to that title, right? Not a problem. It's in my DNA. But when you have to have your lifestyle sustained off of whatever title that you've given yourself, now we're talking something so different, right? When you have to actually talk to people, you know, and have them, you know, part money to either get your product or service, now we're talking something completely different. And so I guess my question to you, sir, is how do you have that what was that transition to have people like, you know what, I need for y'all to believe or know that my services will take your life and or business to the next level?
Well, I guess one of my strengths was I worked in sales for many years. My first job was a direct salesperson. So I learned how to sell on emotion. I learned how to sell on scarcity. I learned the psychology of selling.
Facts.
So I was able to get business off of my sales skills. Not that my web design skills were so great at the beginning, because they actually weren't. I didn't understand what made a website work. You know, how can this website help you make money? Now I sell on that fact that, hey, this website is going to help you close more deals, get more leads, sell more products, get more customers, whatever. Back then it was just, hey, you need a website. And I basically sold them to you because you was a business that needed it. So I had the sales skills and the confidence to know that really I could sell anything. And that was what gave me the confidence to go in and know that I can make it happen, just off of my sales skills.
Okay, cool. How I guess that leads me to ask, how do you combat, you know, because there's so many, you know, like Wix where you can, you know, do it yourself. And granted, I'm not knocking Wix. I'm not knocking people that use Wix, but when people use, you know, services like Wix, it looked like they use Wix. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It looked like they did something. And if nothing else, you always have to, like, you know, lend yourself to professionalism. That's the only way that a person's going to take you serious. So how do you combat, you know what I mean, people that may be wanting to use these self-services that's not doing their business any justice?
I don't. Those who want to use those self-services, I let them do their thing. What I do is I educate on the importance of having a great website. I educate on the importance of making a great first impression with your website and having certain elements and certain orders. And I really just talk to a certain group of people who I want to work with. And I realize that not everybody's going to be my customer today. You know, everybody's not your client. Everybody's not your customer. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm fine with that. So once you realize who your audience is and you realize who you want to do business with, then you solve their problem. You meet their need. And once you're solving a problem and meeting a need, the dollar is nothing. You know, money is nothing when you have the solutions to somebody's problem. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure. Like, absolutely. You have to be. I'm sorry, Karen, because I can go on forever. Let me get out the way, sweetheart, please. By all means, like, you know.
Yeah, you got to.
This is not the DK podcast. No, you know, I keep. No. I'm a big gentleman.
No. We absolutely, believe in the same thing, that you have to know your target audience. You have to, because once you know who they are, you do start to appeal to them and they start to seek you out. It's not you having to do so much groundwork to, really seek them out. They start to seek you out. But my thing is, for entrepreneurs who are out there who are like, listen, I know who my target audience is, but I'm not attracting them, or they're getting a lot of pushback. Because the thing is this, again, we make entrepreneurship sometimes sound easy because, the three of us are on this side of it. DK and I are still grinding. You're at six figures where we're trying to be. But, people who don't necessarily find the investment in what they're doing, like an investment, like websites are expensive. Like, let's just keep it a buck. They're expensive. But when you reach somebody who's not going to invest in themselves, like, how do you overcome that?
So it's hard to overcome somebody that's not willing to invest in themselves. But that's why a lot of my content really talks to entrepreneurial problems and not necessarily website problems. I really talk to entrepreneurial problems and try to help people develop a mindset first, a certain mindset. I talk heavily about investing in yourself. I tell about how I invested in myself and how it leveled me up. I didn't just get to the level that I'm at. I read books. I joined programs. I got coaches, I got taught how to incorporate processes and systems into my business. I got taught how to build teams. So I just talk to those problems, and once a problem resonates with you, then you'll start to listen. And it still may take 6 months, 9 months, a year, 2 years to convert somebody into a customer. But once they start to listen and change their mindset, then they can start to realize that, hey, what I've been doing is only getting me these results. If I want different results, I'm gonna have to do something different. That's actually proven, not just trying something, but hey, these 25 people said that they did this with their website with Remiah and they got these results. I think it's probably going to work for me too.
Oh, that's definitely what's up. What is the 3 biggest mistakes that you find when people design websites? Like 3 things that a person shouldn't do.
Okay. 3 biggest mistakes. Mistake number 1 is not being crystal clear with your message on your website, like what you do, who you do it for. That's a big mistake. Like if you go to somebody's website and immediately in the first 3 seconds, you can't tell what they do and who they do it for. That's one mistake. Another mistake is having too many messages, having too many different things on one page, because now you're bringing about confusion. And especially in today's day and age, we don't have long attention spans. If you give us too many options, we're not going to make a decision. We give us 1 to 3 options and let us choose between 3. Don't give me 30 options. Then I'm not going to take time to read, or have a whole lot of information on a website. And the third thing I would say is not having a call to action. Like, what do you want people to do on your website? Do you want them to book a call with you? Do you want them to schedule an appointment? Do you want them to buy a product? Do you want them to download your ebook? Like, you got to tell people what it is you want them to do and don't just assume that they're going to get it.
Got you. So that leads me to ask, how do you position yourself? Like, okay, because I'm pretty sure you make, and I don't need numbers, right? That's not my business. You position yourself, as doing what you do. How do you automate your business? Far as, because like it's time consuming to sit down at your computer to actually create the website, right? But how do you automate that process?
Okay, so what I do is my marketing, which is how I put my messaging out there, how I get people's attention. I do all of that myself, like literally at my computer with my phone, whether I'm in my car or whatever. That's when I do all my videos, all of that stuff. I use Canva. I use a program called InShot. So all my marketing that's me. And then once you get to my website and let's say you fill out a form to book a call with me, Now that's automated with a program. I use a booking system called Calendly, which connects to my Zoom. It automatically creates a Zoom meeting, sends us both the link, puts it on both of our calendars. So like all of that stuff is automated. And then once you actually sign up and say, hey, I want to do business, I want to do a logo or a website, that process is automated as well. You get the link, you make your payment, you get an email that says, hey, I need you to complete this form. You complete the form goes into a project management system that I have. And then I have a team. So I have project managers that will get it. They start initiating the process as far as like starting to build out your platform, build out your WordPress website. And then we have another call. So I'm interjected inside this process, but there's processes and systems where different people are doing. It's like an assembly line. And they may never see any of these other people except for maybe one. They'll talk to Jessica, which is one of my project managers, but they'll never see Will and Gino and Alyssa and all of these people on the back end who are helping me to build the websites, plan how it looks, So without a team, you can't really grow or scale. You can get so much on your own. Like I did 6 figures by myself the first year, but it's hard to really scale without having systems and having a team.
It's hard to maintain it. So speaking of your team, they say that you have to have people who are passionate about your brand. What do you think are good things to look for in a team? Because again, we're speaking to other entrepreneurs who, are probably starting out and they're like, okay, now I'm at the phase where I got the work, but I just don't have enough people. I don't have enough me's to do it.
What I realized was that nobody's ever going to love your business as much as you do. Like that'll never happen unless you partner, like you guys are partners. Y'all are doing this together. Y'all probably have equal love, or maybe DK loves it like 51%, like a little bit more than you. I don't know. I'm just saying,
right.
But nobody is going to look at your business the way you look at your business. So as an entrepreneur, you have to make sure that you're the rainmaker. You're the one making sure you're taking care of your marketing. Don't rely on other people. Even though you maybe can hire people to help you do Facebook ads and things like that, you still got to have your foot on the gas for your marketing. But as far as your production or whatever your fulfillment process is, make sure you have people that are capable of doing the job. They don't have to be better than you either. They can be at least 70 to 80% as good as you. And then you can coach in that other 20 to 30%. And that's what you want. So you don't have to get the superstar. Just get somebody who gets it. You know what I'm saying? Who's capable. Mm-hmm. And then you can coach them up. Teach them your processes, put standard operating procedures in place so that when, for instance, with me, when a website is built, it's like I built it, because I tell my team, I want the logo position here, this size. I want a central call to action with buttons that look like this. Always put the third section, put this, always put testimonials on the homepage. There's like different things. If you can go look at 100 of my websites and you'll begin to see a pattern of, okay, this is always here. This is always here. This is always here. It may look a little different, but there's a standard, because that's the only way that my brand can be the same and recognizable and consistent.
Yeah. And it's harder to mess up a system where, uniformity is the call of the day, right? Like it takes out the guesswork. I don't have to guess where you want certain things at. If I know by the system that this goes here, this goes there, this goes there. How do you drive? See, this is my thing, right? You see a lot of young people believing that social media is like here to stay forever, and to a degree that it is, but like, we once had, I'm not sure how old you are, Remiah, but we once had, Black Planet. We once had, MySpace, right? Those things have gone by way of the dinosaur. I believe owning your own digital real estate is the only way to go. I believe that social media is nothing but the highway to drive people to your website. That's a personal belief of mine. I don't know if you think the same way. Do you agree, disagree?
Oh yeah, I definitely think the same way. So your website, that's your home. That's your home online. These other platforms, Instagram, Facebook, Google, those are just ways to get traffic to your website. You know, like I went through a season during the quarantine. I went through a season where I made money directly on Facebook and Instagram to Cash App because that was the time that we were in. Like I recognized the change. I recognized that it was easier to say, hey, here's my Cash App link versus sending people to my website. I don't know why, but for some reason, that's what really worked. But at this point, if I can't get on Instagram, and there are times that Instagram will shut down, my website is still rolling. If I can't get on Facebook, my website is still rolling. Those are just ways to get traffic to your website. Like this podcast can't get me business unless I have a link to send people to my website for them to now go check out and connect with me.
Right. And speaking of that,
the link will be in the show notes.
Facts. You can go and give yourself a shout out too. Like tell people where they can find your work at, sir.
Well, you can go to Remiah.com. That's REMIAH.com to find my work. Or Instagram right now is probably my favorite platform. And that's Remiah Trask.
Yeah, that's where I discovered you at, man. And I ain't gonna lie, I stalk you something heavily. You know what I mean? I'm really a big fan of what you do. I'm like, my man is definitely on it, in a great way, in a great way to say the least. Where do you see yourself, leading? Cause I know you wanted to get, I think you said 100, websites, making 100K, at least six figures, something to that effect, 100 entrepreneurs. Help, right.
Yeah. Help 100 entrepreneurs get to six figures.
That's a great thing, by the way. I'm tempted to sign up because I definitely want to get there. But after you achieve that goal, what's after that? Because I know you have more behind that. Because like you'll plateau, and then how do I grow from here?
So honestly, I don't know, but there's two ways that I may be leading. One may be to increase that 100 to 200 or to 1,000. Or it may be to actually teach other web design agencies how to do what I'm doing, so that by way of them helping their customers get to 100K, it really just kind of spreads the mission wider. If I could help 100 web design agencies help 100 of their clients get to six figures, well, now we've exponentially grown the mission.
Oh, for sure. So what happens is you become the big oak tree. Right. And then all the other web designers and their agencies become the branches from that oak tree.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely got you on that. How do you see, the current landscape of where we at, with information overload? I think what happens, people get caught up with the shiny object syndrome. Right. And of course, you hear people talk about 4 easy steps. I promise you'll be this overnight. How do you get people, I should ask, what would be your advice to people to navigate those tricky and muddy waters to avoid? I don't want to call nobody scams. I don't want to do that. Right. But what I will say, people will use keywords to have people react to those words. How do you get people to avoid that? So, get stuff that's truly going to help them?
Honestly, I'm gonna say be very, very leery of the shiny object syndrome, especially if you get caught up into something that's not really a skill that's gonna help you get where you want to go. So one of my mentors, Peter Voog, he wrote this book, 6 Months to Six Figures, which is actually the book that I read that helped me to get to six figures. He has a concept called mastery versus overload. And basically what that concept says is you want to master one thing, master whatever that thing is versus just overloading yourself and reading. I read 100 books, but what did you learn from these 100 books? Instead of reading 100 books, go get this marketing book, master that book, and then maybe get another marketing book that helps expound on that concept and master that thing. You know what I'm saying? Are you actually getting results from what you're learning? Knowledge is only power once you execute it. So I feel like if I'm gonna read a book, then I need to take the next month and go through the book again and actually execute on the book.
That's great advice. I promise you spoke to me, personally, and I'm pretty sure that you're speaking to other listeners as well. Karen is always getting on my head. Like, I hear you in the background, girl, hush. Karen is always getting on my head. Boy, why don't you finish what you start? Like, you've been, like, since I've been knowing you,
I was going to go down. I wasn't even going to go there.
Nah, we pride ourselves on being transparent. So I'm not going to sit up here and get all this, because my man is dropping real life jewels. I'm not going to lie. I'm taking notes. I'm going to keep it a buck. Look, so I'm not going to get all this great advice and don't like look at myself in the mirror and then apply that to me. Cause when I asked about the shiny object syndrome, right, that I'm asking for myself, right? Although I know that a listener was like, oh, I'm suffering from that. So when I'm asking these questions, of course, I'm asking for me personally, but I also am a representation of, some of our listeners, so yeah, I'm definitely going through my go-through. I'm trying my best to be more disciplined in my actions instead of being all over the place. Let me centralize, what I'm trying to do. Let me, be right there in that pocket. And then if I read something in one book, don't be like, as soon as I get done, let me go implement that one thing right then and there. So I know it gets done and I master that one thing before I move on to anything else. Like what you said was like, yeah, that's real spill.
Can I say something else on that point?
Man, please, by all means.
This is what I would suggest you look for when you're going to invest into a course or into a program or something like that. Make sure that the person that is teaching the program, that they have either done the thing themselves, like created their own real business, or watch out for, did they make their millions by selling a course on the course? You know what I'm saying? Like I made my millions of dollars on selling a course on how to build credit, not really building other people's credit, if that makes sense.
Oh, for sure.
That way they're telling you, hey, you can make $10K a month doing XYZ, but they're making $10K a month by selling the information, not really doing the thing. So does doing the thing really make the 10K? You feel me?
It's the people who sell the panic sell the pill.
Exactly. The people that got rich in the gold rush were the ones selling the shovels.
They were the smarter people. Let's keep it a buck. They were the smarter people. Now, is that ethically correct? I don't know, but you're definitely 1,000 when you say, like, if you're going to jump down a rabbit hole with somebody, make sure that the person that's digging that rabbit hole has a way out that can instruct and guide you, what they're trying to tell you what to do. Yeah, for sure. What you say was, I promise you 1,000. Like a person needs, proof. You know what I mean? They need proof all day long that they are capable, not that the information is vital to you and you trying to come up, but they're capable of actually executing that information.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that. And speaking of courses, you got something coming up in 5 days, don't you?
I do. I have a web design course. It's called Design Like a Pro, where I'll be teaching the people to build websites exactly the way I build them.
Right. And so who are you more lenient to? Are you more lenient to, because a lot of people don't code. A lot of people don't know how to. So like some people may use Elementor. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with them.
I am.
So are you teaching that in your course, or?
I'm actually going to be teaching Divi, which is comparable to Elementor. It's another builder on WordPress. Yeah. And so there will be zero code. You don't need to know how to code. You really don't even have to be creative to make this happen, because I'm going to walk you step by step. We're going to build three websites. We're going to build a 1-pager website. We're going to build a 5-page business brochure website, and we're going to build a e-commerce website in this course. And it's going to be dope. It's really for business owners that have their own websites that want to learn how to manage it. It's also for people who want to learn how to build websites for other people and maybe even start a business as a web designer. You'll be able to do this. It's kind of how I transitioned into my business. I started off building with Wix, and then I ran into a roadblock where I had a client that needed some stuff that Wix couldn't do. This was back in like 2012 or something like that, 2009, or between 9 and 12, something that Wix couldn't do. And so I had to figure out what are the other options, and that I learned about content management systems, which is what WordPress is. I actually started off with a program called Joomla. I'm getting way too techie, so I'm
no.
But
No, you, my bad for cutting you off, sir. But you're good. Like, okay, stay in your lane, stay talking that talk, because you're not necessarily getting techie. When a person hears this information, if they're serious about what they're hearing, they'll go Google that. They'll go learn that. So no, be you. Do
okay.
you.
Okay. So I started off with a program called Joomla, and it wasn't what I really, really liked, but that's what I learned. But how I learned it was with a program similar to what I'm going to teach. So like the guy that taught the course, he literally taught me how to install WordPress on a cPanel, how to get a hosting account, how to set up my server, how to do security. So all of those things outside of building a website, he taught me that program. He taught me how to pick my business name, how to buy a domain name. So all of those things were important to me. But that's why I really want to teach it the way I'm teaching it, because I was stuck. And I know that there's thousands of people out there right now that are stuck. And even though we have YouTube University right now, there's just so many different ways to do it. I'm just going to offer a clear-cut way that has worked for me for the last 5 years to grow my business. And hey, this is the way I do it. Come learn it the way I do it.
That's definitely what's up. Do you got a portfolio on your website, sir?
I do.
Okay. That's definitely what's up there. So, Kern, do you have anything?
I do. We're talking about courses, and you kind of touched on reading. So, Remiah, what is either your go-to books or either your go-to way of personal growth? Because the thing about entrepreneurship is that it is you did mention YouTube University. It's constant growth, and you can't, take the same information that you learned 5 years ago and apply it now. You have to constantly be in the know of what's going on and how, especially in technology, everything changes daily. So what is your, I guess, maybe tips on personal growth?
Okay. So my tips are, I have a couple. So I'll first go to my go-to books. I have two of them. One of them is called The One Thing by Gary Keller. That book changed my life. It really teaches you how to focus on one thing. The premise of the book says, what's the one thing that by which doing it makes everything else either easier or unnecessary. And so it helps you to have clarity to say, is this a profit producing activity, or am I just doing this to feel like I'm busy? If it's not making me no money, I need to go do something that's going to help me make money and focus on that thing. So that's one book. Well, that's actually my favorite book. I'm just going to leave that at that. And then always mentors and coaches. I have several mentors and I have coaches. I even have a marketing coach. Even though I teach marketing, I have a marketing coach. It keeps me on my toes because I know that if I'm slipping, she going to be in my DM or in my text or calling me and say, hey, what you doing? What's up with that? This post was horrible, and having accountability really helps you to stay on top of your game. So you got to pay for that, but it pays for itself.
Facts. And I see that you're actually, by you becoming a teacher, you're actually, I won't say transitioning away from the day-to-day hands-on, but that's also another way to automate your business when you're not, having to deal with the day-to-day, when you become the go-to person in your field.
Yes, that helps. That helps a lot. It helps tremendously. It helps you get business too, because people see you teaching on the subject. They automatically say, can you do this service for me?
Right. That's definitely what's up for sure. What was, should I say, the hardest thing for you to do as you were transitioning from, hoping that you make it into making it, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, they have these certain struggles. They have these struggles of they get excited by the idea. Like everybody's excited. And then when it comes to time to actually do the work, it's like, that excitement dies. And so how would you walk a person through that?
The hardest thing is in the beginning, you're highly motivated. You listening to a lot of Eric Thomas and you're getting fired up every single day. You're highly motivated. Motivation is going to eventually die. and how are you going to sustain what you have going on? So you have to build habits that supersede motivation. When you're not motivated, that's when your habits kick in. That's when your processes kick in. So I did a video last week talking about entrepreneurship is boring. Whenever you're winning as an entrepreneur, it means that you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And that's what you have to build into your mindset, that I'm going to be doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And you got to build good habits. You got to get rid of distractions. You got to get people out of your life that pull you down, and you got to get around like-minded people who are going the same direction you're going.
That's what's up. Okay. My bad, Karen. I got one more than, floor is yours, or you can close short. But long story short, with you having so much wealth of information, have you thought about you yourself writing a book?
I mean,
as far as the information, I know you got books out pertaining to, freaking amazing websites, but have you thought about writing a book as far as all this information that you definitely have?
I have thought about it. I actually started it, but it's revamping, but I have thought about it. Tell me what you're thinking. What should that book be called?
That's a great question. Give me a minute. I would definitely get in your DMs and shoot you that idea, but like you're onto something, right? And this is what I mean by that, because from what I'm hearing and what I've studied of you so far in a short term, you're transitioning from hands-on to teaching. And once you become teaching, you automatically, like you said, become, that guru, you become that, that authority figure in your lane. So with that being said and whatnot, I think, you really need to, definitely have a book out. And here's the reason why, because people will have access to that book when they don't have access to you. Right. Like, you like that with the book, because being online or being in front of your computer, you're easily distracted, right? So I may go look at your page or on your IG board, right? And then something else gonna catch my eye, and then I'm down that rabbit hole. But when you have a book, it's just you in that book. You're lost in that moment. And if you're lost in the moment with great vital information, then I'm gonna take that away and be more ready to apply those nuggets, because I'm not distracted by, the ills of social media. Far as a title, I don't know. Like, you better than anybody else. So I'm pretty sure that'll come to you. But if I were to advise you anything, I definitely think that you need to go ahead and finish up that project, my brother. You got too much, information, to sit on it. Not saying that you are, but as much information that you can get out, two things that you'll accomplish, right? And I think one of your main goals is to help people, right? And by helping people from a genuine place and not having them suffer through the shiny object syndrome, like by helping them genuinely because you want them to succeed, then money becomes a byproduct of that. So it's a win-win situation.
I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. I appreciate that too, man. Honestly, I'm 3 chapters in. And I'm gonna go ahead and finish it. It's actually titled the freaking amazing business blueprint.
Cool. And I like the way you keep everything uniform in the brand. You see what you did? Well, I know you know what you did. Right. Oh, yeah. So what you do is, cause we got, I have a self-publishing company, right? And so my advice to people that's in the process of writing books and whatnot, like, you allot time. Like, you allot time for that. You minimize your distractions. If you get them to 0, that's what you do, right? And then you allot time for that. And then, you just build upon your previous chapter. Like, this is not your first book. This is definitely not your first rodeo, right? But, it sounds to me that you're writing something that's much bigger than what you previously have out. And that's going to have a greater impact because you're going bigger than websites. You're going into, the whole entrepreneurial thing. And by the grace of God, you're throwing in some life lessons in there as well. Right. And then, last piece of advice and whatnot, once that takes off and does what it's going to do, right? Because I'm listening to you and then all the knowledge you have, you can also begin to parlay that into speaking engagements if you haven't already.
Okay.
Right. And so what that does, and then and it sounds like you got a great team, and then you give more for your team to do. Of course, you pay them adequately. Right. And then from there, boom, now you become the ET. And it's not so much motivation, right? Because like you said, motivation is great. Cause this is how I start my day. I get to work and I throw my man Jim Rome, right? I listen to the same Jim Rome joint for the last 6-7 years. I pardon my language, I BS you not, right? After Jim Rome, I backdoor that with Eric Thomas. And then after Eric Thomas, I mean, listen to some ratchet music. By that time, it's time for me to come home, right? And just like you said, that motivation has worn off. And now I got to fight to get back and sit in front of this open computer to make it happen. And so with you having that information, not only can you motivate, now you're teaching and that separates the great motivational speakers, like, because they can motivate and teach. And that's what separates. That's why Tony Robbins is who Tony Robbins is. And that's not a knock on E.T., right? But if you ever listen to E.T., E.T. will always reference Tony Robbins as being, the big dog. Now, of course, E.T. says he's the number one. I'm not even, splitting hairs on who's number one, number two. But Tony understood in the beginning of the motivation game to teach along the way. So you don't have to go outside of his services that he's offering.
Yeah.
So that's just, my advice to you, sir. Karen, you got anything, sweetheart?
Absolutely. I just love the fact that people get to see you in your entrepreneurship. Like that's you. That's the NL Publishing way right there. I get to see that part of you all the time, but always thinking, always, trying to move the needle for everyone else. So shout outs to my business partner, Mr. DK Walker. Remiah.
Oh, you so sweet.
I do appreciate you. You get on my nerves, and I do, threaten to drive or fly to DC every other day to knock the living fire out of you, which it will probably happen sooner than later. But it's normally out of love. I don't always hate you. It's only like maybe 2 days.
Damn it, I'm not doing my job if you don't always hate me. I'm saying
2 days I hate you good.
I work hard for you to hate me. I'm just being honest.
I know, because you want me to go Kill Bill on you. It's okay. We'll go back to our love-hate relationship eventually. Remiah, you had said previously before we got on books and speaking engagements and DK in the world of DK's mind about having to learn how to cut people out of your life. And I think something that we struggle with as entrepreneurs is balance of our personal life and our professional. And so how would you coach somebody on that, or what are your thoughts of that?
So I would say this: pay really close attention to how you feel. Like, don't ignore how certain people make you feel. A lot of times we don't have enough emotional intelligence about certain things. If somebody's always making you feel down, every time you talk to this person, you leave with a headache or you leave depressed, that needs to be something that you gradually or just cut off, straight away. And so I started to recognize certain conversations. Like, for instance, I may have a certain conversation in the morning. And if I have a certain conversation with this person in the morning, the rest of my day is shot. So I recognized that. And I was like, okay, if this person is going to continue to be my friend, we can't talk until 3 p.m. I've been productive, because when we talk in the mornings, I don't get nothing done, So you really have to just pay attention to how certain people make you feel, and the people that make you feel good, the people that help you be productive, spend more time with those people, invest into those relationships, and cut off the relationships that are not in alignment with your goals and your life.
Right. Because I think as entrepreneurs.
I'm sorry, Karen. I need to ask a tough question, because I hear, quite a few people said exactly, and it was beautifully said. Say what you said. So my question to you: what if those people are family members, maybe a spouse, maybe the kids, right? So how do you, because it's kind of hard.
That's not where I was going.
Oh, maybe I read your mind, and I have quick lips. So if you want to answer that question, answer it.
So I was going to say, Remiah, DJ Quick, you said earlier, if it doesn't make money, and so in my head, I was like, oh, it's very DJ Quick. If it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. So,
you damn skip it.
Huh?
I said, you damn skip it.
Right. And so that kind of becomes our mantra. Like, if it doesn't make me money, then, I'm not investing in that. And, for me, a big thing is like, it's not necessarily if I don't hear you applaud, but if I know your vibe is kind of snakish, like if I start to hear you hiss, oh, I'm about to cut the head off of the snake right at the gate. Cause it's like, I've gone through enough situations where I know you plotting against me, or you're not really as happy for me as you should be. Because my mantra for life is, if I can applaud you, Remiah, at the stage you're at, then when God blesses me at that level, I'll know what to do.
So, okay, before you answer, my question was, and in great follow up, Karen, my question is, how do you go about that if it's a near and dear family member? Like, I want to peel that onion back because it's easy, pardon me, not to talk to a friend. Like you don't live with them, right? It's easy not to be associated with a coworker if you don't have to work hand in hand. But what if it's your wife? What if it's your husband? What if your kids? Because there's certain entrepreneurs that's listening to this podcast or will be listening to this podcast that's talking about, okay, I know how to distance myself away from people that I'm not intimate with, but I live with certain people and they don't have their pom-poms out. And as you would say, Karen, they don't got their pom-poms out and they're actually undermining my success. How do you deal with that?
So I've lived that situation. Me and my wife have not always been on the same page as far as my entrepreneurial journey. We're highly on the same page now, but we haven't always been. So I knew that for me, I had to prove that this was going to be a sustainable income and I was going to be a consistent provider. So I just had to go out there and grind. I wouldn't talk to her about business. I did not talk to her about business for several years because I knew that it was going to be a downer. I was going to get told you need to go get a job, a real job. So the conversation had to be changed. And then also the timing of it has to kind of be changed as well. Like if you recognize what I said earlier, I had somebody that I would talk to in the morning and I had a bad day. I stopped that conversation until 3:00 and then they can vent, do that thing. I've already done my stuff and, I can get through the conversation without it interrupting my productivity. But if it is a spouse, you really have to do what you need to do to work on that relationship. Figure out what is it that's causing you stress, what is it that's causing him or her stress, and work that thing out. If y'all need to see a counselor, go see a counselor. Figure out how to communicate better and make your relationship better. Because at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, my reason is my family. The reason I do what I do is for my family. So if my family not happy, then it don't make no sense. Like if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. If my family not happy, what I'm doing don't make sense. So we had to figure that whole thing out and make it work for everybody.
That's great advice. As I promise you that, yeah, you definitely talking to and preaching to the choir, young man, is what you're definitely doing right about now. You're right. You definitely have to surround yourself with like-minded people. And you definitely have the two things. You got to surround yourself with like-minded people, and then you have to surround yourself with people that's better than you. Right? You never want to be the smartest person in your circle. That's something you can't grow that way. It's virtually impossible. Like I have a friend, I call my little brother and whatnot. Like, he was doing this thing, on a major scale. And so anytime that he calls, I'm quick to answer. And then, I'm always, I just listen, and then I'll pick and choose things that he said that has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do, far as, specifics of my business, but the way about doing business I implement, right? And I can only do that because he's on a few levels above me, right? So like anybody that's listening, you can't always be the smartest person. If you are the smartest person, you definitely got to change the group out. And I'm not saying, you kick everybody to the curb, but you just got to at least incorporate 2 or 3 more people that got something else going on than your current circle of friends.
That's real. That's so real.
Quick techie question. ClickFunnels versus, I forget the guy's name, but he believes in one-page selling. Like ClickFunnels is all the rage, right? Like you go through the whole process. I get that, right? But his first name is Brian Moran. I want to say he's right here out of Maryland, right? Right. Yeah, my man. That's what I'm talking about. So what do you prefer, or what would you suggest?
I'm a kind of drop. I'm gonna do a little name drop right quick.
It's quite all right.
I'm a Sam Cart partner, so I'm actually on their affiliate partnership with Sam Cart. I use Sam Cart. I love Sam Cart. Sam Cart brings me in thousands of dollars every month, and it's easy. I'm a believer in the one page. Like one of the things I'm teaching in my web design course is the perfect 1-page website. And I derived that idea from Samcart because that's what they teach. That's what they believe.
Facts.
And it works. ClickFunnels is not a bad system. It's just very complicated. In my opinion.
My bad for cutting you off. Unnecessarily so. And I'm not taking shots. But when I got on, because I recently just got on and put some things together and whatnot, me and Karen is working on. And so I'm so sorry for cutting you off. But my thing is, I don't need people jumping through a billion hoops to get them to buy. I want to deliver on what I said I was going to deliver on. And then I don't want that passion to wane, because when you're buying something, it's always an emotional based decision. It's never logical, right? Buyer's remorse is logical. The impulse to buy is always based in emotion. So I want that emotion not to wane. So if you got to go through like 4 or 5 pages before you can actually enter your credit card or PayPal information, then that passion, that buying impulse is starting to wane off. And then the cart abandonment happens more so. But once you can scroll down the page, you get right there, that emotion is still at an all-time high. And therefore you're going to have higher conversion rates.
I agree.
Okay, cool. Before I let you go, my good man, I'm going to see if my co-host has anything, because I run my mouth for days, and you have been like, if there's anything that me, my team, although it's a team of one, and my company can do for you, Remiah, please just reach out. Like, you have given me personally, I'm not even going to lie, Slim, I'm going to keep this a buck. It's one of my favorite sayings, keeping something a buck. Like, when I reached out to you to come on, like I said, I admired your work. I was reading your post and I'm like, my man got a lot going on. So not only was I having you on for the listeners, I had you on for me. And that's from the heart, because you done taught me so much in this. We've been on for 59 minutes and 13 seconds. You done taught me so much in this time. So first of all, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if there's anything that I or my company can do for you, please don't hesitate.
I won't hesitate, and I definitely appreciate you both having me on. This is great. I learned some things from you as well. That's I guess, if I don't know if I have a final tip or whatever, but one thing I would say is, when you do level up and when you put yourself in the room with other people who you may be better than them in one area, they're better than you in another area, take their pride down and listen, because you never know who you can learn from and what you can learn. If you feel like you to know it all, then you lost. You missed that opportunity to grow.
Facts. Well, we usually close with a Love Jones of the day. That was the Love Jones of the day.
Can I do my job?
Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, dear. Yes, by all means.
Coffee. Thank you.
You can leave me alone. You know what I mean? It's past my nap. I'm an old man.
You're about to get kicked off. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to schedule you for Shady Pines early pickup.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Make sure they draw the curtains. Anyway, go ahead, girl. Do
you want an extra pudding cup today? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure they give you one. No, thank you so much, Remiah, for coming on behalf of myself and the podcast listeners. Normally, where we would have passed my post-weed baby over to that mean man called DK Walker, Remiah just closed it out. You got to make sure you're not the smartest one in the room, because if you are, then you're definitely not growing. This is the Love Podcast. The Love Is Podcast. I am your girl, the Thorny Chick, Karen KK Rose, alongside my co-host, the lovable asshole, DK Walker. DK, tell the people bye-bye.
Man, look, I could tell y'all goodbye, but what I'm going to say to y'all, man, is it was a good look today, all across the board. Usually we have a lot of fun here. This has by far been a very informational podcast. You have, if you didn't learn nothing from this podcast, man, look, entrepreneur is not for you. I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If you didn't learn one thing that can transcend your business, it's just not for you. Bottom line, flat out. I don't mean to step on no toes. I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm just keeping a buck. You know what I mean? And thank you to, Remiah for coming through, dropping mad jewels. And not only mad jewels, I'll say this, I'm definitely gone because I could be long-winded. It was practical. Like, a lot of stuff people get on and they want to sound uber deep, right? Like they want to sound so deep, right? But they give you nothing practical to go do. Our guest shared with you practical stuff that you can go implement right now and can either change or begin to change the way that you view entrepreneurship. So with that being said, thank you, sir, for coming on. Thank you, Karen, for being wonderful, although you're a pain in my butt. And by the grace of God, we will see y'all next week.
This episode of the Love Is Podcast has ended. But please be sure to subscribe for more great content on sex, entrepreneurship, life, love, and how to get through the BS of it all. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring more of that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and, dare I say, the lovable a-hole, Mr. DK Walker. See you on the next podcast.